The Bear Performance G.1.M Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
It's over.
Yeah, sadly.
You did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun experience.
Wow. That actually ended up being probably the craziest event I have ever been a part of and witnessed in person in my life, and I didn't even run it, so I can't imagine what it felt like running it.
I knew it was going to be cool. I think after actually doing it, it was honestly cooler than what I'd actually expected. And
Yeah.
like, I hope I can get in next year because that was a fucking race.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was. We're gonna. This is gonna be an episode of Miles and Memory, so we're gonna walk through the entire process, the day before, the day leading up, the race itself. So I do want to kind of start the day before, just to kind of set the scene.
This was Thursday.
We got down there Thursday. So the race, for those that don't know what it is, I assume most people that click on this will know obviously about the race at this point. It was massive, but Drew just finished this past weekend. BPN, Bear Performance Nutrition's G.1.M Backyard Ultra race. And the way the setup is he ran 4.2 miles every single hour on the hour until there was one person left. So everyone that did not finish, that DNF'd, they were handed a horseshoe that said DNF on it, and they rang the bell, and they were out of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the structure of the race. So he went down here to see how many miles he could go and how long he could last in this race. And we got down there on a Thursday. The race was on a Saturday. So I'll let you kind of lead into what happened on Thursday, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So the whole reason I sent down all of my gear, so like everything I need, so like shoes, I had a waist light, like headlamps, my pack with like both my waters in them, and then a few other things that I had like bought just beforehand that I knew I needed, like just gear wise that I didn't want to pack and take with me to the race. We sent them down this time because the last race, like I drove to Texas 13 hours and it was terrible. So I was just like, I'm just going to ship everything to Texas so that it's there when I get there, and then I can just pack my clothes and I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we sent it down a week before and didn't really think like much of it, honestly. And when we get down there on Thursday, I asked Taylor, like, is the package here? And she's like, no. We're like, okay, whatever. So you check the tracking and it's like, it's arrived. So we're like, that's weird. So maybe it's at the office. So we go check the office and it's not at the office. Long story short, package was not there on Thursday. The race starts at noon on Saturday.
So
now I'm freaking out.
To set the scene here,
Yeah.
this is a race where you need your gear.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be running for days.
Yeah.
You're talking like your light, the shoes you'd been training in, your water bottles. You had stick poles to use if you needed like any guidance or a little bit of support. All of that is gone.
These are things you need throughout the race for sure. Yeah.
So that Thursday, we legitimately spent half to almost a full day trying to locate this package. It was like a scavenger hunt. Like we went to the where Taylor lives, the renter's office, so the leasing office. We went in there and talked to the person running that. Tried to find it there. They had no idea where the package been, but they made it very clear that they had been having trouble with the FedEx guy that was delivering these packages. But for some reason, people weren't getting their packages. So that was red flag number one. I think at that point, we kind of knew, all right,
we're going to probably have to look for
that thing is gone.
Yeah,
that package is probably gone. But we started brainstorming and we looked up all the distribution centers around us and the shipping centers, and we found actually where it left, one of like the very large FedEx distribution centers, and we went there. You're not even allowed to walk in, and we got in contact with the right person. And then they were trying to contact the driver. Never even got a hold of the driver. We waited in that parking lot for a long time. Like Drew has a video of me. I wish that we could
passed out in the car.
Yeah, but I fell asleep in the car. It was just a long day. Like we were trying to find this box, and yeah, long story short, ended up not finding it.
Yeah, we didn't get it that day. And then next day I called in the morning just to be sure, because I didn't want to go buy everything I needed, especially because Like
It's not cheap.
yeah, I mean everything that was in the package was a little over $1,000,
Yeah.
and I didn't need every single thing that was in it because I had like a GoPro and different stuff like that like obviously like I didn't like need, but there was a lot of stuff I needed.
Yeah.
So
if you guys end up seeing a FedEx driver around
yeah.
running a lot of miles, like if you see a FedEx driver get off his truck and run like 100 miles in a pair of Hoka trail shoes, the high top ones.
Yeah. He's got my shit.
He's got our shit.
Yeah.
You told him to bring that shit back. Oh man.
Yeah. So that was a day for sure. I called Friday morning and the FedEx driver that had delivered the stuff wasn't there, so they were like, we'll get a hold of him on Saturday. And at that point it was just like, what, I got to go buy different stuff. So Friday we went to 3 or 4 different stores and spent half the day that day just getting everything I needed for the race specifically. And that was a pain, but like honestly, not the end of the world. I still got everything I needed. I bought an extra pair of shoes, pack, lights, everything I really needed for the race. And then finally got to chill Friday night before the race. But
so leading into Friday night, you finally have your stuff. You have everything packed up. We're ready to go. You actually ended up sleeping not too bad this time.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool about the last man standing races is most of them start at noon on the day of the race.
I didn't know that.
Well, I know that Nick's did specifically, and maybe he just set it up exactly like that race. So maybe that's the only one, but it is nice since it started at noon. Like instead of 6 a.m., I can actually sleep till 6 or 7. So I did get a good night's rest. It was like 7.5 hours. But nerves are obviously high. So, I mean, it's hard to fall asleep. And when you get up, nerves are high. You just kind of, you're ready to go. Like you put in the training, you're ready to just kind of get out there and just start running. Because after you start running, the nerves leave. Yeah.
What did you eat that morning?
Regular breakfast. I usually cook like 4 or 5 eggs, and then I have toast.
You ate a normal meal?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you got there like 8 a.m., right?
Yeah. It was like 8:30.
Like 4 hours before start. We had to set our tent up. So that's what Drew was most concerned about at this point, was setting the tent up, because if you've never been to like a backyard last man standing race, if you get there earlier and set your tent up closer, and this is like very minute detail, but it does kind of add up. If you end up being one of the ones that get there later and your tent is further back, every time you come around from a loop and then go to your tent, you are going to essentially travel further, especially when you do 1,000,000 laps.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could technically end up running more, and it could be a disadvantage to be further back. So that's why some people like getting there earlier. But
I did end up logging another mile on top of
an extra mile. Yeah. Which, I mean, yeah, there you go. But it is what it is. So we're into Saturday now. You have your stuff. Leading up to the beginning of the race, did you talk to anybody when you were at the tent, or were you more just chilling by yourself?
No, yeah, because Taylor was working the booth to get everybody like signed in with the poker chips and like the race bib and everything, and then Bradley went back to get you. So I just sat there with my headphones on, just listening to music before the race. Yeah, kind of just trying to get the nerves out, really. Just chilling, waiting for the race start, and that's really all I did before the race. I ate a little bit more to get a little bit more carbs in me, and I was hydrating with electrolytes and water and everything. But
to give perspective on this too, this is a little bit of a different topic, but I think they did a really good job with this, because now we're leading into kind of race time, and I'll let you describe your feelings there. But I thought that they did a really good job of, and maybe this is very common in the ultra space and I'm just not used to it, but I think they did a really good job of documenting it in real time. And I know a lot of people have talked about this, but if you are listening and you haven't seen it yet for some way, shape, or form, if you go to BPN's Instagram, you can see how they documented it. So whenever we start talking about the race and the loop, you can see a lot of pictures of what the loop looked like and kind of the conditions on that day and whatnot. But to set the scene here, what was the temperature that day?
It was right around 100. Feels like I think it was above 100 though.
Okay, and it's So even for me, like I trained a lot while I was down there and running. You find out what a dew point is. You find out what humidity is. Like paces that you usually hold at home whenever it's not as humid and hot, those same paces, your heart rate is completely different.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Like 5 to 10 beats.
yeah.
Yeah.
So leading up to the race, everyone walked up to the front of the starting line, and it was really cool. There was I think they made it out of lumber, obviously, but it was a "Go One More" sign over the top where everyone started, and they pulled everybody up into a group, and Nick gave a speech, obviously, to all the runners, and kind of like fired everybody up before they left, and everyone was cheering really loud. What did you feel like at that point, or for you, or at that point in these races, is it just more like you know what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, when you're at the start line, you kind of just, that's the point I feel like where I kind of just lose all the nerves. Like I'm there, like it's time to go. Like there's no more waiting. So for me at that point, it's just kind of like, let's go. Let's get it started. Let's get it going. But no thoughts really at that point, I'd say. Like for the race itself, more kind of just excited to get started.
Who did you, so the first few laps, and this is me watching a lot of your ultras, I noticed you end up like, since you're in a big group in the beginning, obviously people spread out more as the time goes on. Who did you run with the majority of the time in the beginning, or were you by yourself?
In the beginning, I was by myself. For most of the race, I'd say I was by myself, probably like the first 30 or 40 miles.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a back of the pack, but like you'd still pass people like halfway through the loop, and then like you'd fall behind like some people depending on like who was running at some points. Like a lot of people have different strategies. I talked to a few different people that had like a 7 minutes running, 3 minutes walking. Like for me, it was like if there was like any slope like whatsoever, I was walking, and then everything else was running. And it was like a trot, like a 10, 30, 11-minute pace. So strategies looked a little bit different. No one really like stood like together. Only thing I know is the people in the front had like a speaker, and like that's where like Lucy and Mitch and all of them were with the speaker, so they were vibing. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say on that? Whenever you, from our perspective at least, whenever we were crewing you did seem to keep the exact same pace for a very long time.
Yeah.
You would come in around, it was minute 50 almost every single time.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, because whenever I did end up talking to Chad Wright, he told me like his pacing strategy, and I was like, I really don't have one, but for some reason, like it's worked out every single time.
What was Chad's?
It was the 7 minutes running, 3 minutes walking.
Oh, no way.
And at the beginning, I used my pacing kind of based off Chad, because Chad got in like around 50 minutes every single time. I knew just based off like what I'd seen Chad done in the past and like watching his documentary that he was a back of the pack kind of guy, like take as long as you need through the lap. So I knew that if I saw Chad or like he was around me, like I was good pacing. So like if he was in front of me, I'd just try to keep up. Yeah. Or like if I could look behind me and see Chad, then I knew I was like at the right spot. So that's kind of what I used the first like 5 to 10 laps. After that, it was just kind of just feel.
Gotcha. Was that okay? So we're about like 30, 40 of the way through. I know that you, because honestly, the first 30 or 40, you've put in so many miles at this point that the first 30 or 40 to you just seemed like
it's also like the first 20 to 30 miles are so fun anyway, because like everyone's like
still riding a high.
Yeah, everyone's like full of energy. Like everyone, like you're not in the pain cave, so everyone's just having a good time. Like you're kind of just out there, like man, like this is just so cool to be a part of.
Now that we've done this 3 separate times together, for me, it's like clockwork at this point. I know like I can't imagine like someone like Chad that has done, I don't even know how many of these. You see people do the same things every time. Like I assume he can probably look at the pack of people and know immediately exactly who's gonna do what. But
performer, yeah.
For me, like just watching it as a bystander, I notice it's the eeriest feeling knowing like when everyone's riding a high and it's really hot and it's sunny and the vibes are good, knowing that in about 10 hours when it's 2 or 3 a.m. it's going to be dead silent. No one's going to be laughing.
People are struggling.
It'll be very quiet. And about that time is usually when you like when you find out, and you can tell at that point how people come into the aid stations who's probably not going to make it to sunrise. But aside from that, so you said mile 40 was when you said, and for people listening,
you want to talk about the fueling before that, like kind of what I was
go ahead.
Fueling wise, like it's changed from like the first race to the second race. You had sent me something like a week before, and like I knew I wanted to try it because I knew if I didn't, like I was going to be lacking on nutrition. So like 100 to 150 grams of carbs per hour, just so that my legs constantly feel fresh, like I'm feeding my body enough like energy. And that's what I did. I got a powder that was 100 grams of carbs and 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and I rocked one of those for every single lap.
I'm going to reiterate that 100 grams of carbs, 1,000 milligrams of sodium in liquid. And I think this was the biggest learning lesson for you.
Yeah.
In this race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And it worked for the first like half of the race. But yeah, it felt great. I drank most of my carbs. But
yeah, you get to a point where you realize you have to eat. You have to eat a majority of your carbs, and you were drinking all of them. And to put it bluntly, you couldn't shit.
Yeah. And
that was the biggest issue.
Yeah. That's what got me.
Oh, bubble guts.
Yeah.
But
so mile 40. Yeah, mile 40 was probably my biggest low point of the race.
I didn't notice at all.
Yeah. Well, it was just more so like out on the course. And then whenever I got back, like, and I could actually like rest and take a second, like I felt good.
This was about 3 hours into the darkness.
Yeah.
I'm saying like dark outside. It was about like 11 p.m. I think.
Because it always seems to go like in a similar pattern with these races. Like, and the low point can be at different spots. Like it could be at mile 20. Not usually. For me, it's always around the same part. And now I've realized, since I've done like a race that started at a different time, like I think for me personally, it's just like middle of the night. Like it doesn't matter if I'm at mile like 50 or I'm at mile 70, like the middle of the night, like 2, 3 a.m. Like I struggle the most because I think my body's trying to shut down. So I kind of like lose energy.
What, at this point, what are the thoughts? Like when you look back, like what do they revolve around?
At mile 40, I was like straight up. Cause I think everybody has these thoughts. It's just more so getting past it. Is like thinking like, if I quit right now, like what would that look like? And like kind of those thoughts going through my head, like
am I a fraud?
Yeah.
Like I talk about the fact that like I do these races and I do this shit, but what if I fail right now?
Yeah.
It's like that thought.
Yeah. And like what does it look like if I do quit right now? Cause you hit those low points like mentally, and you're like, you look at the big picture is what Chad says, instead of like staying present. I'm looking at mile 40 and then looking at like how far I have to go, especially with an unknown. Like it's not 100 miles. It could be 150.
Yeah.
Like I still have 60 to 100 miles to go. Yeah. Like how am I going to like do that? How am I going to get through that?
And the thing that's interesting is no matter how many of these races you've done and these conversations that we've had, the conversations you have, I think you said David Goggins talks about this, but the conversations you have when you're comfortable and like you're okay, it's so different.
Way different, yeah.
Because you can sit here and you're one of the strongest minded people I know, but you spend hours by yourself running the same circle over and over. It's crazy how those thoughts still do come back.
Every time.
You know what I mean? They
for me personally.
It just breaks you.
Yeah. It's but those are the moments that like you talk about, that like you get through, and like that's what makes you a better person. That's what's so cool about these races. Like those are the points that like you grow as a human, or like as a runner, as an ultra athlete. Like that feeling at mile 40, knowing like, man, I got to go this much more. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
And then like riding that high, I was sitting in that moment, and it sucked, obviously. Like that's when I started having like the stomach issues. My stomach hurt, and I'm tired. Like I could probably go to sleep if I wanted to. I'd be like, man, it would be really nice to go home right now and like go to sleep. And you kind of just know that as much as it sucks, like it's not gonna last that long.
Mm-hmm.
And like at some point, I'm gonna hit another high, and like I'm gonna feel great. And I just had to tell myself, like I started thinking about the reasons, like why, like what was my why, and I thought about all the times in like training and like late nights and like why it was actually worth it to like push through.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought back to the Cameron Haynes, like drop the hammer.
Yeah.
I started thinking about that.
You did say that during the race.
Yeah. So
what was your why?
Just to prove to myself that I'm capable of more. I think I told you in the car, like there's levels to a mindset, like in that race. I guess it just in life in general, like at a point where like you give up, like there's still more. Like I don't think anyone truly like hits that point. You know what I'm saying? There's no like I don't think there is like a level. Like I think it just keeps growing. I think you can continue to like overpower your mind. Like the mind is so powerful, it's insane.
So you're saying you think that process never
I don't think
ends
it
till you die?
I don't ever think it ends. Yeah. Like
yeah, that's really interesting.
I think it just grows, and I think you learn how to fight it, and you learn how to like get better with it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked about it was Courtney Dauwalter that talked about it, how her thing whenever she first started running like ultra marathons was she tried to push off the pain cave as long as possible, but now whenever she runs them, she wants to hit those pain caves as soon as possible because that's where she can actually
things out.
Get better. Yeah. And I see why. You hit those points like mile 40 and you get past it and you get better, and like it just keeps building.
Why do you think this race was harder than people probably thought? Do you think that's fair to word it that way?
Yeah. I mean, Chad Wright talked about it on his podcast. I think like physically it was harder than a lot of people would think just watching. Mm-hmm. Like the heat was a thing. Like it didn't affect me as much, I'd say, because of the preparation with like the neck thing. We had ice and like a neck bandana that helped keep me cool quite a bit, and they had ice on the course with sponges.
Tip for anybody running ultra. What brand is that? Rabbit?
It was a Rabbit, yeah.
It's a bandana that the material is really. It's what would you call that? Felt? No, not felt.
No, it's really stretchy.
But anyway, the bandana it literally has a column built through a little space built through it where you put ice in it, and you just tie the bandana around your neck.
It's just folded and then sewed with like little holes on the end that you can put ice into, and then you can tie it around your neck. Mm-hmm. But that kept me cool. I think you don't like realize it like consciously, but the heat still does affect you like physically and mentally, just like subconsciously. Mm-hmm. Like your body knows that it's really hot. Mm-hmm. So like I think that does things to you for sure. Yeah. And a lot of people were out there complaining about the heat, like how hot it was.
I heard so many comments about it.
Because the trail wasn't really covered by any means. Like there wasn't trees covering the trail like at all. So you're out like in the sun. The sun was out too. There was no clouds.
Did you ever see any big ass spiders on the trail?
No.
I can't tell you how many crawled across my feet when I was just sitting.
They were calm beside me whenever I was laying down at the tent.
Dude, I'm terrified of spiders, and I think it desensitized me. Somebody did tell me that I might see a tarantula, though.
I said that.
Oh yeah, see, you would have been crewless.
Well, see, no, see. All right, I'm gonna die laughing if I don't catch myself.
You come back, no one's there.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
He saw a big ass spider.
Like, you're like, how big? They're like, hey.
that thing was big. Yeah. No, someone was out on the trail telling me, but I don't know if they were dead ass or not. Or maybe I was just delusional. No, they said that like tarantulas come out at night in Texas. And I was like, there's tarantulas in Texas? And they're like, yeah, that's wild.
Maybe they were just trying to get you to drop out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
My biggest fear was snakes. I didn't see one, so.
Yeah, they did it. It seemed like they did a great job with the trail. There was no issues at all.
Yeah, they said they spent like $30,000 to
on the trail.
Yeah,
the trail alone
to get it like maintained and like fixed up. Yeah, it was perfect. They said you probably wouldn't see a lot of wildlife just because there was like construction out there making the trail, which makes sense. Like, and you could see anything on the trail. Like, it was that like dark dirt. So like the trail was perfect.
Aside from everything, now that trail is there and Nick has that
that's cool,
that gym out there.
Yeah.
Just imagine the combo of that.
Yeah, like, it's a great training spot.
Yeah, like a week getaway. You just go out.
And it's right beside the gym too.
I know. So you hit the trail for about a couple loops in the morning, the gym right there over. It's a great spot.
Nice. Yeah.
Great spot.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you this as well. This was more of a personal question, I guess. Like, out of everyone you ran with, because you talked about the people a lot. Like, you talked about getting to run with Truett a little bit, with Chad a little bit. What were like the lessons you took from people who I would say are better than you in this space? Like, what did you learn from them, or did you not learn anything at all? And did you guys just bullshit? Or because I think the coolest part about these races is the people you meet and do it with. So that's kind of why I'm at. Did you gain anything?
I didn't get to talk to them for a long time. I more so got to like analyze them as they were running and talking to other people. I sat behind Truett and it was the doctor guy.
Oh, Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah.
I was running behind them for a while. So I got to kind of like analyze them and just listen to their conversation. And I think it kind of came down to what you told me after Rocky Raccoon, and I tried to catch myself this race. That's probably why you didn't notice that I was down at mile 40. Was like speaking things into existence or like showing it with your body language. Like those type of people, and I told you like Truett and Chad are both like stoic people. Like you would never tell that they're struggling.
Yeah.
Like ever. And that's the biggest thing. I think when you hear a lot of people out there complaining about like how hot it is or how they're struggling, how they're hurting, like what they're lacking, I think that's the biggest thing. You'll never hear any of those words come out of Chad Wright's mouth. He'll never tell you he's struggling. Like even if he's down to his last, like he's about to go to the hospital, like you're not going to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just watching them run and carry themselves was super cool. True, it was super, super cool. I got to talk to Chad Wright for a little bit, but not deep enough really to like take anything, I guess.
Yeah.
From what he said. But it was just fun nonetheless.
So let's get into you have an issue now with your nutrition. So you figured out a little bit, probably too far in, that you were drinking all of your carbs and probably should have been eating more of them. You're having issues with digestion. And to put it in perspective for people, I had no idea you were even struggling at all until probably mile 85 or so.
Like lap 21 probably.
Yeah, like you were like I had honestly at this point I was prepared to be there for 2-3 days because you kept coming in and your legs were fine, and honestly, like you could even get on the ground and get up yourself. You didn't really need help with much at all, which is way different from the other races, which in my mind, I would say is a huge improvement.
Yeah. I think I got exponentially
physically
better, which is cool.
Yeah.
And now that I know that, like I'm excited for the future.
So speaking on that, before we talk about the future, I do want to get into the last lap, because when you came around, this was around, what was it, lap 23?
Very last lap?
Yeah.
23.
You came around on 23 and you came into the station, and at this point, shout out Simon. Simon had been playing like Sam Barber for you all through the night.
Yeah.
He got you a quesadilla when you finally wanted real food. He just found it, dude. He was like the magic conch off that one episode of SpongeBob. Yeah. He just dropped it in on you. Like he wanted a quesadilla and you just had it.
Yeah. Simon was the guy.
He was the guy, dude. He kept the vibe so high whenever you were down. man, he's just the guy for that.
Yeah.
He played Sam Barber every time it was quiet, and we needed that. But this was it was morning time now. Obviously, the sun had came back out. It had been about 23 hours, and you came in, and this was the first time for people listening I heard Drew complain at all. 23 hours of running. That was the first time I heard him complain. So for me, I know as the crew now that I've done this enough that whenever you say certain things, I just kind of ignore it. Like, I'm just like, okay, like whatever. Because if I feed into it, because what you did was pull up your shirt and you showed me your stomach, and you said you had rashes on it. And if I sat there and I'm like, oh my God, like, dude, you have rash, like, this is not good. At that point, I'm screwing you. But
Yeah.
I looked at it and I just said, no, you're good. Like, get back out there. And everyone did, essentially. And we threw you back out there. And you did say at this point that your stomach was destroyed, that running felt almost impossible. So explain the last lap.
Yeah, it started at hour 12, around the mile 40, just with my stomach, like not being able to go to the bathroom, probably from the liquid carbs. And that's kind of what we were talking about. But it just kept building, and I just continued to not be able to use the restroom. So my stomach was kind of just, like it was filled at that point with like random food, and then all my liquid carbs from the day. But it was lap 22 whenever I came in and said that. And yeah, that last lap where I came in at 55 minutes on lap 22, I was struggling like real bad on that lap to even run, because whenever I'd start running, it was super painful, like in the bottom of my stomach, because everything was kind of just built up in there. And at that point too, like my stomach was hurting so bad that I couldn't really drink any more liquid carbs, and I couldn't really eat any food, that I was starting to fall behind on nutrition. When you fall behind on nutrition in these long races, you also kind of fall behind mentally.
Yeah.
If you're not feeding your body with carbs, you're also like feeding your mind as well. So not feeding my mind at that point with any carbs, and not feeding my body with any carbs. So my body's lagging, my mind's lagging. And then it's super painful to run because my stomach's so messed up that I had to walk a little bit more on the 22nd lap. And then whenever I came in, like we tried the coffee, and then sent me back out.
That was hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
Drew can't stand coffee, and Simon
I hate coffee,
kept trying to get him to drink it for the entirety of the race. And I think at that point you had enough, and you just grabbed it and started chugging it, but you looked miserable chugging it. It was just, it was a shit show at that point.
Yeah. Still drank the coffee though. He said, you're drinking this or you're going to DNF. And I drank the coffee.
So you drank it.
Yeah. But yeah, then I went back out on that last loop, and I tried to start running at the beginning, but it was just so hard to run at that point. And my legs did start to hurt too, because I was so behind on nutrition with the lack of carbs and everything, that I didn't make it back in enough time on the 23rd lap. I came in at like an hour and 5.
Yeah.
But
yeah, at that point we knew, because we were waiting, and when it was like 52 minute on the hour, you kind of knew at that point, because you had never come in that late yet. And we knew at that point that the race was about over. But I mean, you finished 18th out of 132 people.
Yeah. And I know now too, which is cool, that all I got to do is dial in my nutrition, because physically, like my legs could have carried me like so much further. And I know that.
And you're fine now. Like compared to your last ultras, it was a much different story. You were right back to work right when you got back. I do want to put a little note in here for people that didn't get to see the race. I'm pretty sure most people already know about this, but the two guys that kept going, how many miles after everyone else quit?
It was 115 miles after everyone quit.
Two guys back to back, 115 more miles after everyone quit. And they ended up having to stop the race because legit, and I've seen this comment a million times, only God could stop it himself, because these boys were not going to quit.
Literally.
And I saw this video after. I think it was Kim, I believe. And in the video, he said he was talking to, I don't know I don't think it was Chad Wright, but it was Chad. Maybe it was his friend that was helping him crew, but he was like, he said, Chad, do you ever wonder what death feels like? And he was like, I'm going to find out. And his face was serious. And there was this crazy edit behind it. And I got chills. I was fired up.
That's so crazy.
I was fired up watching it. But those two dudes are dogs, man. I honestly don't know how long that race would have went had the storm not stopped it. But
well, actually, and some people say like God stopped it, whatever. Like I think it was for the better too, because Kendall ended up in the hospital with rhabdo.
did he really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which rhabdo can kill you. So.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's honestly a good thing that it stopped.
Wow, that is insanely impressive. He was still running with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, those guys are different, man. You got to respect it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, but you're gonna probably go back next year if you can.
If I can, yeah, I'm going back. Yeah,
with a different nutrition strategy.
Yeah.
We do have Drew put a Q&A up on his Instagram, so we have quite a few questions to go through that people wanted to know about the race. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask some of these Q&A questions here to wrap it up, and that's how we'll go about it. So let me scroll up here, and you just put this up. All right, here's the first one. What were your thoughts on your last lap? Did you know you were going to DNF?
Yes. Yeah. 22, I was almost going to DNF since I came in at 55 minutes. And the thoughts in my head at that point were like, did I go far enough?
Yeah.
Did I do good enough? And I know we talked about that comment that the one dude sent me a DM of a while back when I asked him how he did on his last man standing was the moment you try to think about how you're going to explain to other people or like my crew or like you guys why I can't keep going is the moment that you'll lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that the 22nd lap I was definitely thinking about if I was going to disappoint you guys with how far I went. Mm-hmm. Because my goal was to get, I said 150 whenever we talked on the podcast, if I went far enough, if I did enough, was I really struggling enough to stop at that point? But then the very last lap, the 23rd lap, I just didn't make it enough time. I knew I wasn't going to make it enough time. I was walking too much during the lap. Mm-hmm. I knew it at 2 miles and I had 2.2 to go. I was over 30 minutes. So I did.
Got it. The next question, how's the post-run effect been affecting you? And what what have you been doing to stay healthy? Mm-hmm. So how do you feel after the race and what have you been doing?
Physically, the first 2 races destroyed me. And physically I had to give myself a few days rest just to lay around and recover so I could walk again. But after this race, physically, I was fine. Constipated still for a few days. But after that, majority of the time, and this is, so far it's been every single race, and I think it kind of just comes with ultra running. It does affect your hormones. So testosterone and all that kind of stuff. So energy-wise, I'm lagging for a month and a half after these types of races. Just low on energy, trying to get back my energy, sleeping good. My HRV's bottomed out. My resting heart rate's a lot higher than it usually is. So really just prioritizing sleep, eating enough food, and then slowly working my way back into running. These are the things that I try to do because you kind of just go with the flow there.
Yeah.
Don't try to overwork yourself back into it.
Next question. Next year, do you think you can get 200 miles?
Yeah, 100%.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that your legs were fine. I think that if you dial in your nutrition and know exactly what foods you like to eat when you're at that point, I think you'll
be I don't want to be that guy and people can doubt me, say whatever, but
no, stand on that shit.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I've only been running since January of 2024, so I'd have another year of training, and if I could get in, like it would be a year of just training.
When does your training start again?
I mean, probably when I start running.
When's that?
Well, I was gonna run yesterday. I drove here today, so I'll start running tomorrow probably.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a full year of training. I'll probably put in some crazy workouts. I want to do like a 12 to 24 hour workout by myself, just to practice nutrition, like eating real food. Maybe doing a race just to get a little bit of practice out of that.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think I could do 200.
Cool. What would you have done differently leading into the race, knowing what you know now?
Nutrition, eating more food starting out.
Yeah.
I would eat whole foods just starting the race. Like whenever you are hungry, and I think Logan Locke told me this a while back, probably should have listened, is like eat when you know you can eat. Like eat when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Like if you know you can eat this food, eat the food. And I think that's where I lacked.
Yeah.
Like knowing I actually had an appetite starting the race, I wish I would have eaten more whole food the first however many laps.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. That's what took me out. So,
distance and ultra running must-haves, skin and blister care, inevitables, and dealing with them.
yeah.
We'll start at the beginning. Distance and ultra running must-haves
For
for you.
I learned this the first race that I ever did was your feet are the most important to take care of. And now for every single race, and I didn't have any issues with my feet this last race, I wrap each of my toes individually with KT tape so that my nails are covered. And then I also do toe socks. So my toes are in individual socks along with wrapping them individually. And there's also this like feet butter that you can put on your feet to prevent blisters. It's kind of like an extra layer of skin. I put that all over my feet, like the top, like in between my toes, all over the bottom of my feet before I put them in my socks. And it worked perfect the whole time. And then obviously anti-chafe, like put that shit everywhere because the first race that I did, I chafed so bad in the area that you do not want to chafe, and that's the worst feeling in the world.
I remember.
So I just put anti-chafe everywhere, like everywhere you would chafe, like under your arms, like on your nipples, down your area, feet, anti-chafe, 100%. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I don't think there's anything really other than that specifically that are like must-haves. I know for me personally, I saw a lot of people out on the race like carry one bottle with them, and I guess for the two dudes that went the furthest, like it worked.
That's what they did.
So like whatever works for you. For me personally, like I'm like so thirsty whenever I'm out there. I have 3 bottles, so I have this one, and I'm carrying one. One of them is my nutrition, one of them is water, and the other one's water. Just because I need a lot of liquid, I think for me that's a must-have.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, I'd say
That's about it. This is kind of along the same lines. At one point, did you realize the end was near?
Yeah, the 22nd lap for sure. Whenever my stomach was destroyed.
Yeah. Last question: can the face be shaved now?
Taylor, I don't know if the mustache can go. I'm not gonna lie. The rest of the face, but I
think it's on brand.
I really like the mustache.
It's on brand.
I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully Taylor doesn't disown you.
I know. Maybe she'll break up with me because I don't shave my mustache.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I do want to know for your future, what's your plan? Are you wanting to sign up for another race this year, or is it going to be early next year? Like, do you want to get into anything, or do you not really know yet? You're kind of weighing your options. Where are you at?
I'm just kind of struggling because if I could get into Bear Ranch next year and I knew that right now,
you just start training for it.
That's the only race I do, and I just train all year for it. But obviously with it being a lottery, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just trying to weigh my options right now. Right now, I feel like I want to do one closer to the end of the year, just maybe to use more as practice for Bear Ranch, potentially. I looked at Moab 240 and Cocodona, but those are obviously closed. And then I really want to do another Last Man Standing, even if it's not BPN. So maybe I'll look into more of those if I can find one.
Do you think a YouTube series could be in there?
That'd be cool. That'd be sweet. Yeah, I think so.
I think that'd be really cool to watch.
Yeah,
Like how you train. It's really interesting.
that'd be fun.
But other than that, those are all the questions. That's kind of a full wrap on the race. It was really cool to watch. It's always a pleasure to watch you go all the way to the very end, dude.
Yeah, we just keep getting better.
There's gonna be a lot more.
Yeah,
A lot more where that came from, that's for sure. And once again, they crushed it marketing wise. I've never seen a media team put out that, and it's different to just put out content during the race, but that quality of content during the race to be able to edit it and pump it out that fast, dude, hats off. Absolutely unreal.
yeah.
I can only imagine how they're going to capitalize on that next year. I'm sure they'll have something for the live stream issue that was going on.
Yeah.
Because every time they went live, there was 15 to 20,000 people on that.
Crazy.
If you imagine that many bodies just in the ranch right there, just watching, like if that many people were there, it would legitimately be completely out to the road.
Yeah,
of
it'd be
just
insane.
God,
Yeah.
that's crazy to think about.
I'm glad that it went on like so much longer than like what I did, because I actually got to see that side of it.
Yeah, you get to watch it.
I got to get on the live and I got to see them post stuff. So cool. Like,
Yeah.
I was so glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think
It's
the
coolest racing experience ever.
ultra space is only going to get bigger and bigger after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're only going to get better at it too. Truthfully, I think you'll end up getting really good. I think it's just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But damn, dude, that's another 6-hour round trip for you and another podcast film.
There we go.
Another race down. And we're going to keep this motherfucking thing rolling, man.
Yeah.
That's episode number 15.
15.
And as always, guys, if we can provide anything to you, the only reason that we ever started this in the first place, or that we do these episodes, is to show people that when you sign up for things that scare you, or you set out goals that scare you, and then you go and tackle them after announcing that you're going to do them, even though all of the, whatever you want to say, the stress, the anxiety that comes with it, the confidence that comes with doing those things that pours into every aspect of your life from there is quite literally unmatched. And if there's any lives that we can affect in any way, where someone watches and they say, watch Drew do this race, and then maybe they sign up for their first 10K, or watch Drew do this race, and they take them and their family and they go do their first mile together, or whatever it may be. If that's what we're doing with this, then it makes it all worth it. So we appreciate the hell out of you guys. And as always, we're going to keep putting points on the board.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
episode number 15.